Thank you, Colard. I'm actually going to avoid talking about Harry tonight if I can possibly manage it. We'll see how we get on. I've actually only been working full-time in the tech sector, to the extent that you can even call it a sector, for the last 3.5 years. But I've been passionate about technology my whole life, ever since I got my first computer, this Commodore VIC-20, when I was 10 years old. So tonight I just want to take a minute to talk a little bit about my journey in the tech world, what I'm trying to do to shake things up a little bit, and what we can all do to shake things a little harder in the future. I actually spent the first 20 years of my life as a lawyer. I didn't really plan that out, but I was good at it and I found it interesting, and so I just kept doing it. I think there's a natural human tendency to always want your next step to be an upward one, and that's particularly true with ambitious people, and so I just kept climbing that particular career hill. I worked at prestigious law firms here and overseas. I got my master's in law at the London School of Economics. I made partner by the time I was 32, and I didn't really ever pause to think about whether that was something I wanted to be doing. And importantly, it didn't really line up with the things that I was interested in or passionate about in my spare time. I was a really early adopter of the internet. I got online in 1994. This is me complaining about how much it cost in 1995. I went online for a boy. He was American and had an email address, and I didn't know what that was, but phone calls were $3 a minute at that stage, so I was determined to find out. The Internet Home Users Group had just started in New Zealand, and they were doing a demonstration at Dick Smith Electronics in Newmarket after hours. So I dragged my dad along to try and convince him, and the guys were doing a terrible job of explaining what the internet was or why you would want it in your home. But they let me jump on, and I found this photo of me and my then boyfriend on his personal web page, and it downloaded line by line over this dial-up modem. But everyone was so wowed by the fact that here was this picture of me in this computer, including my dad, who let me sign up straight away. He wasn't as wowed when the first bill arrived. So I've been a ferocious online user basically since it was first possible to be online, even as that didn't really line up with either my personal or my professional image. But gradually I started to be able to bring those things together when in my legal career I started working with tech startups. And I realized that I really loved it. There's something enormously inspiring about tech founders. They're creative and they're energetic and they're passionate, and you can see that they believe we can build global businesses from right here at the bottom of the world. But I was struck almost immediately by the fact that they were almost all dudes. Everything about it was male. Our narratives about successful tech founders are always about the guy in the hoodie. All the investors are men. Our archetypes of a tech worker is always a guy. And I thought, that can't be right. We need to be able to do something to change this. And so I started to think about how I might be able to change the ratio of women in tech in New Zealand. And the first thing I came up against was that tech meetups were always awful. Greasy food, lukewarm beer, and more dudes. And that was true even when I arranged the meetups, like this one. So my friend Amanda and I sat down and we thought about what would it be like to go to a technology event that we would actually want to attend. You know, good food, nice wine, inspiring women speaking, and not feeling like we were the minority in the room. So we took over an existing event which was previously called the Auckland Girl Geek Dinner. We rebranded it as Refactor, and now 4 times a year we sell out an event where over 100 people come to hear from inspiring women in the tech industry in New Zealand. And the thing that I learnt as we were building out Refactor is that sometimes you just have to be the person who does the thing. I think I was waiting for someone else to change this. Tara Moore, who has an amazing online course for women called Playing Big, says, while you're sitting around waiting to be ready or gather more experience, waiting on your ideas, other people are out there being anointed industry visionaries, the other ones getting raises, and the other ones seeing their ideas coming to life in the world. But here's the secret. They're not any more ready than you are. So I decided to stop waiting to be invited. I used to think that was how it worked. You know, people invite you to give talks or speak at events or be part of panels, and sometimes that's true. I had a lovely invite to speak here this evening. But when you start organizing events, you realize guys don't wait to be invited. They just email you and say that they're coming. So I started to challenge myself to take on larger stages and encourage others around us to do the same. I love this photo of me and Lillian Grace and Michelle Dickinson when we keynoted at Microsoft's TechEd, one of the biggest technology conferences in New Zealand with one of the worst lineups in terms of diversity and inclusion. And since then, I've been lucky to speak on stages around the world and to give in-house presentations at companies like Twitter and Slack. And I'm proud of what we've done, but it's not enough. Women are still chronically underpaid in our industry, chronically underinvested in, and chronically underrepresented at its highest levels. So we need to do a lot more, because this is having real consequences. This book that's coming out this month from Caroline Criado-Perez talks about the absence of data about women leading to the most horrifying real-world effects. Car crash test dummies that mean that seatbelts haven't been built, taking our bodies into account. Fitness apps that can't even track the simple activity of pushing a pram. Hand phone sets that aren't designed with our hands and minds. Our absence has consequences. So what can we do? Well, I think we can keep pushing for change. We can keep agitating and putting pressure on the people around us to do better. And you're going to get called negative. You're going to be told that you're complaining, that you're making a fuss. I know, because that's what happens to me all the time. But I don't care. We need to expect better from the people around us in our industry. Don't work somewhere where they don't care about you. Or if you have to, keep pushing for change. Because at this moment in history, you have a lot more power as a tech employee than you think you do. And stop listening to the same stories over and over about the dudes in the hoodies. This stock photo was actually labeled "man talking in meeting," and I thought, duh, that's every meeting. There are great companies that are amazing role models for change. One I'm enjoying reading about at the moment is Pinterest, who last year rolled out an extraordinary new search filter on skin tone to improve the diversity of the racial and ethnic results in their searches. They're public and transparent about their diversity and inclusion efforts in hiring and advancement. And now they're trying to tackle the problem of harmful content on their platform, one of the few platforms that's trying to eradicate it. Read about investors like Arlen Hamilton, who founded Backstage Capital when she was homeless and has just raised a $36 million fund to back Black female founders. Or Katrina Lake, who's built Stitch Fix into a $3 billion company, and when she rang the bell for the NASDAQ IPO, she did it with her toddler on her hip. If you need stories like this, check out Project Include. They have amazing resources, research, all the underlying studies, and a Twitter feed jam-packed with both the good and the bad. We can do this. The data is on our side. Literally every study shows that improving workplace diversity brings better business outcomes. So these guys are going to have to change, or we're just going to leave them behind. Thank you.